Hello, Sarah Smith community. My name is Stacy Perot, and I am your school principal. And this month's Caffeine Connection is all about understanding what is the multi-tiered system of supports and 504 at Sarah Smith. Our presenters today will be our MTSS specialist, Ashley Upshaw, and our phenomenal assistant principal, Mr. Alfonso Champion. And so I'm going to turn it over to them to share some information on this whole process.
Good morning. Now we're going to talk about our multi-tiered system of supports here at Sarah Smith. Am I going to be on camera?
Yeah.
I think on the live stream, it was just your first thing in the shot.
You're still talking.
Okay. What is MTSS? MTSS stands for Multi-Tiered System of Supports. You might hear this phrase often at school thrown around. It's just the way that you should think of it is it's a way for us to ensure that all students' academic and behavioral needs are being met. And at Sarah Smith, our MTSS, or at Sarah Smith, our multi-tiered system of supports ensures that every student receives the same level of support they need to be successful. Teachers use data to identify and address student needs early. Families are active partners in supporting student growth, and that we are addressing both academic and behavioral support so the students can thrive socially and academically. And how do we identify students who have these needs? So we have several things that we use. Most often it comes from our MAP growth data. We use MAP, and students who generally fall behind on the 20th percentile or below are students that are flagged for needing possible intervention support. It's not an automatic. We kind of use other sources of data like student grades, classroom performance observations to kind of see if it is appropriate that we address the needs. And needs can be met again for academic and behavioral. And sometimes students need intervention and support to know what appropriate behavior is, in the classroom and on the grade level. All of this information is used to help students thrive and achieve. And the three tiers of support at Smith, and this is district-wide, statewide. That's how it works. I want to pay close attention to the pyramid and notice how at tier 1, that slice of the pyramid is larger than the other two. This is because most of our students are in that first tier. Tier 1 is just universal for all students. And when we cannot meet the needs of the students in tier 1, then we talk about what behavioral or academic supports they need. And then we talk about maybe a transition to tier 2. Now for tier 2, if students do need that additional academic or behavioral support, they have small group instruction, targeted digital interventions, like you might have seen iReady or Alexia or heard about that from students, our behavioral support plans. These things are, whether they're academic or behavioral, they're all progress monitored to see if those interventions are working and to see if we can continue or see if we need to try something else. If at tier 2, the supports are unsuccessful, whether that's behavior or academic, we do transition students to tier 3. And once we go into tier 3, we involve a larger team, including the parents, the MTSS intervention specialists, the teachers, of course, any teachers that support the student academically. And we all come together as a team and meet every few weeks or every so often to see how the student is progressing. And when students move to tier 3, they receive more intense individualized support. So in tier 2, there's more group support. And in tier 3, it's more individual, saying, well, okay, and with that group support, it wasn't working. Let's try something else and let's focus and hone in on what the student needs specifically. So at tier 3, the goal with any of this is not to progress up through the tiers, would be to get all students back to tier 1. And so if tier 3 is unsuccessful, then we talk about other things. But parents are a part of this discussion, part of the process, and they're part of the team that makes decisions for students. How it works, Sarah Smith. So instructional staff, it could be teachers, instructional coaches, intervention specialists who help to identify students who may need academic or behavioral support um, through MAP and classroom performance and teacher observations. The intervention specialist, Ms. Upshaw, she comes up with the plan, she devises them, she schedules students for interventions, and she ensures that whoever is going to support that student for intervention, whether that's the homeroom teacher or support teachers that come in and support, that they have what they need to support that student and that we're monitoring the progress of those interventions. If it's academic, it's more just between the teacher and the student, but we still check in as a team to see how the behavior progress is moving. And then, students are progress over time and monitored to see if tier 2 supports are working, if we need to move to tier 3. And again, this is almost a repeat of redundancy. If the student continues to struggle at tier 2, we do shift to tier 3. And then at tier 3, you hear the term SST, which is student support team. And that's the team that meets every so often to discuss the progress, interventions, what things are working, what things may not be working. And if the intervention is working, and sometimes we have, in some cases, interventions are working, but the student is still not making progress. So we have to shift. Like, okay, if the student is successful in this, let's move on to this and tackle this other skill that the student may have deficits in. And the supports are adjusted and based on student growth and data and ensure that every student receives what they need. All right, to close out, in summation, at Sarah Smith, MTSS is a collaborative and data-driven approach that supports both academic and behavioral growth for every student. And now we're going to turn it over to our outstanding MTSS intervention specialist, Ms. Upshaw, and she's going to take over and now share information about 504, Section 504.
Yes, good morning. So now we're going to go over what Section 504 is. So the main key points of Section 504 is that it is a federal civil rights law that provides protection against discrimination for individuals with disabilities. Section 504 is designed to provide equal access and fairness to general education students with disabilities that do not require specialized instruction. Section 504 also provides protection only to students that may not necessarily need accommodation. So there are two types of plans that we offer. We offer a Section 504 protected only plan and also a Section 504 accommodation plan. Okay, so what is the definition of Section 504? It is a physical or mental impairment that substantially limits one or more major life activities, and there has to be a record of such an impairment. Okay, so what does it mean when it says that there has to be a substantial limitation on major life activities? So these are some examples of different impairments that students may have and how it may affect major life activities. So for example, if we have students that are wheelchair bound, that affects their ability to walk. If we have students that have ADHD, that may affect their ability to learn, think, and concentrate. Students that have diabetes, that affects their eating, caring for themselves, and performing tasks. Students that have hearing or vision impairments, that affects their ability to hear and see. Also, we may have students that have specific learning disabilities, and again, that impacts their ability to learn. And this is not a comprehensive list of the impairments that Section 504 provides accommodations for, but this is just an example. All right, so what is the difference between an individualized educational plan and Section 504? A lot of times families and or staff may use the terms incorrectly because there is confusion with how each thing supports students. While they both provide supports to students that need that additional support, they are covered under different laws. So with an IEP, that is basically a plan for a child that needs special education or modified instruction. with Section 504. That is a plan for how a child will have access to the curriculum and learning at school. An IEP provides individualized special education and related services to meet the unique needs of the child. And these services are provided at no cost to the parents. Section 504 provides services and changes to the learning environment to meet the needs of the child as adequately as other students. As with IEPs, a 504 plan is provided at no cost to parents. IEPs are covered under the Individuals with Disabilities Education Act, or IDEA, which is a federal special education law for children with disabilities. Section 504 is covered under the Rehabilitation Act of 1973, which is a federal civil rights law to prevent discrimination against people with disabilities. There are two requirements on how students are provided either an IEP or a 504 plan. All right, so the ultimate goal of having a 504 plan is to level the playing field. It also prohibits discrimination of any program when students have disabilities, and it also provides appropriate educational services to the same extent as needs of their non-disabled peers. Okay. So again, if you all have any questions about Section 504 or the MTSS framework here at Smith, I am the contact person for both. So here's my email, ashley.upshaw@atlanta.k12.ga.us.
So thank you for taking time to watch our video today. You may be wondering, how would this apply to me? Well, if you see, or you're having a conference with your child's teacher and they're sharing with you that your child is struggling academically, is struggling behaviorally, or you know your child has a medical condition that you need to share with the school, we want you to reach out to us. We are here to serve our students and families, and we are partnering with you. We want you to understand all of these terms that we use here at school. And so if it's conference time, like right now, as we're recording this and you're hearing things, we want you to be informed. So we hope to hear from you. We hope to see you soon. Have a great day.
Bye-bye.
Bye. Bye.